Hello again. We're here talking entrepreneurship, and that means we are on Radio Entrepreneurs. And again, my name is Jeffrey Davis. I'm here with Peter Myerson, my co-host from the law firm of Cohn, Rasnick, Myerson, and Plout. Our next guest, I almost feel like he's sort of the godfather of radio entrepreneurs. He's been here since almost day one. Our guest, in our early studio days, Jim Farrell from PR First. Welcome, Jim.
Oh, thank you, Jeff, and glad to be back. And hi, Peter. Glad to be here with you, too.
That whole thing with the presidential election, he was on the air 24/7. 24/7 through his tweets, through his comments. He was on every news show every day with his rants, with his comments. He controlled the media. And if you looked at the total media, and then the other rule we always learned in media in the early days was there's no such thing as bad press. And has he not proven those 2 points? Number one, it's the PR was more powerful than advertising. And number two, I guess bad press is good press. It got him in the presidency.
Most of the time. I mean, there are probably a couple of notable exceptions. You go back to O.J. Simpson and some of those, they might argue that there is bad press. But for President-elect Trump, he seems to have climbed that wall that no one thought he'd ever get over. And in the initial phases, I think it was partly the attraction of here's somebody new, somebody different, somebody that's never held office before, somebody who is great at capturing the news cycle. Why wouldn't we give him this free coverage, or as we like to call it in
It was
PR,
novel. It
earned coverage? Yeah,
and it got CNN more listeners.
It probably did, and his comments about the network notwithstanding, that probably further helped to attract some listeners to them. But when people who will wonder, well, how is it that I can get this so-called free media? How is it that I bypass advertising? And we always tell people that both of them are useful. So I know what you're saying. I am certainly a proponent that PR is a stronger means of communicating a message than advertising, although they're both important. And we tell people that the subliminal difference for someone listening or watching is that when it's an advertisement, and they can be very powerful also, when it's an advertisement, you know where it came from, and you know that the person who is in there, you know that they paid for that message so that they control it. The underlying theory is that earned media coverage is different because it carries some sort of third-party validation or credibility. And in the case of Donald Trump, it was, as you said, he was on the air all the time, and I think he really has, from his days in reality TV, he's been a master at using the media the way that, in this case, benefited him. But he also, not only the networks, he used the social media channels because
Still is,
and that he was able to bypass any of the critical media outlets in terms of how they reported on what he said or didn't say, and he was able to get the message out directly. I think this campaign has certainly redefined the way future campaigns will be held.
I can't wait for the dozens of books.
And the other part of it is when you look at the two people who competed, they couldn't have been more polar opposite in the way that they approached the media. Secretary Clinton was one who liked to stand back from it, not really engage, and probably some of the smarter thinking on their side was don't put yourself out there where you're going to be put in a position where you say something that the media is going to report on and make you look bad. But in a lot of ways, it seemed like what people were looking for is someone who is willing to answer questions and is not really overly concerned about what people say afterwards.